Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the content that we're throwing up. And make sure you guys hit the like button if you enjoy the video. And yeah, let's begin. Okay, so too powerful for Marvel movies. In this video, we're covering Unstoppable Colossus. Now, in order to understand this, there are a couple things we need to know. The first is a being named Sidorak, and the second is an event that Marvel had called Fear Itself. Now, Fear Itself is an event that we have covered. You'll find the link down in the description. My editor, Gordon, will put it down there for you guys to check out. Fear Itself was a story that basically revealed that there was another heir to the throne of Asgard, right? Like for years and years and years, in Marvel Comics, it was only ever just Odin. And the idea was that Odin, in his younger days, he basically went to go fight Surtur alongside his brothers Vili and V. Vili and V died. Odin absorbed their life energy and then basically had the Odin Force and then defeated Surtur. And that was basically it. And went on that way for decades in Marvel Comics. What Fear Itself revealed is that there was actually a third brother by the name of Cole. And Cole was according to his stance, the rightful heir to the throne of Asgard, and it basically had it stolen from him by Odin, more or less. And so what ended up happening is that Cole, also called the Serpent, essentially launched a campaign to conquer Earth and then attack Asgard, and in the process created a whole bunch of hammers which fell to various people across the world. The Incredible Hulk, Juggernaut, different characters like that. Now, in terms of how this ties into Unstoppable Colossus, this goes into the nature of Juggernaut and Sidorak. So in Marvel Comics, you've got all different kinds of dimensions, right? You have the Dark Dimension, which is where Dormammu resides. You've got like Nightmare Dimension, which is where the being Nightmare resides. He's literally fueled by all the nightmares that everybody has throughout the entire universe. And then you have the Crimson Cosmos. And the Crimson Cosmos is this dimension that's housed by a guy named Sidorak. And Sidorak is just this super powerful being, right? He occupied Earth at one point, he was banished and then took up residence in his own little dimension where he's crazy powerful, but he, like a lot of other entities out there, will lend their power to people. And so during the Korean War, when you had Professor Charles Xavier and his brother Cain Marko, who discovered a temple, and then of course in this temple was the Crimson Gem of Sidorak, when Cain Marko took it, he became the Juggernaut, right? It was a whole inscription, you who read these words shall go forward forevermore, a human juggernaut, and so on and so forth. The idea is that Sidorak, by his nature, is very, covets his power, right? He's very, very selfish in terms of how his power functions and so on and so forth, and only ever wants one avatar at a time. And so during the events of Fear Itself, when the hammers fell to Earth and Juggernaut picked one up, he basically had the power of Sidorak and the power of this hammer. The result was that in order for the X-Men to defeat Juggernaut, Colossus and his sister Magic went to the dimension of the Crimson Cosmos and then spoke directly to Sidorak and said, hey, look, so Juggernaut has your power and another guy's power as well. And the result was that Sidorak got pissed and he took the power of the Juggernaut away from Cain Marko and then gave it to Colossus. And Colossus in turn had his mutant abilities, the osmium metal that he transforms into when he goes into his metallic form, combined with the power of the Juggernaut. Now, there are a couple caveats to this. Of course, one of the rules in Marvel Comics is that once the Juggernaut starts moving, he cannot be stopped. Now, this of course is contextual. Once the Juggernaut starts moving, he cannot be stopped except by somebody crazy powerful, right? Like a reality manipulator or someone who's a super high level telekinetic who can just lift him into the air or something along those lines. There's people that can overcome that. But in terms of sheer force, a person cannot physically stop the Juggernaut from running. The only exception to that was during the events of Peter David's run on the Incredible Hulk, when Hulk became the Horseman War by Apocalypse. And of course, at that point, he was able to stop Colossus from moving. The caveat to that was that he was basically powered by the entirety of the Heroes Reborn universe, right? So it was basically the Incredible Hulk powered by a universe stopping the Juggernaut from moving. So that's really all that was. He was super powerful in terms of what he was capable of. But the fact remains, that's the only moment that I'm aware of in Marvel Comics where someone's been able to use physical strength to stop the Juggernaut from moving. Having said that, with Colossus having that kind of power, he was nuts. It was crazy how powerful he was, because one, he was almost completely indestructible. He wasn't completely indestructible, but he was highly durable with his osmium skin, right? He could survive extreme temperatures and from super hot to super cold in terms of physical attacks, with the exception of a handful of different things, like anti-metal, which is basically Arctic vibranium, Magneto's ability to control metal, Polaris, of course, as well. With the exception of a few things like that, Colossus was, for the most part, almost completely indestructible, and he was highly durable. Then you go into him having all that stuff amplified by the Juggernaut power, right? So that means he's basically indestructible. He cannot physically be stopped. He's indestructible. He has insane levels of strength. Again, once he starts moving, you can't really slow him down. So it was kind of a crazy battle between himself and Juggernaut, and it played out really, really well. Again, the video's down in the description if you guys want to go check it out. But throwing that kind of character into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there are ways to stop him. And that's kind of the big difference here, is that when it comes to the unstoppable Colossus, he is by and large, for the most part, too powerful for the MCU in its current form, but it does not mean he's too powerful for the MCU in like a future form, specifically somebody like Jean Grey. Now, the funny thing about this is that with Colossus, while he's in his metal form, he's not immune to telepathy, but with the power of the Juggernaut, he for the most part is. You have to remove his helmet in order to basically use telepathic attacks on him. That's one of the caveats of the Juggernaut, is when he has his helmet on, he can't really be attacked telepathically. And so with this happening, for Colossus, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you would need the X-Men. That's literally what you would need. You would need the X-Men team in order to defeat him. And even then, it wouldn't take like the super powerful character, right? Like it wouldn't take a whole host of X-Men to do it. You would need some heavy hitters, right? Like you would need Jean Grey with like the powers of the Phoenix, or at her highest level with telekinesis before she was the Phoenix. You need the Incredible Hulk, somebody who could attack with ranged attacks, so you probably need like Cyclops. But yeah, I mean, between those three, because what you could do is you could have Jean Grey lift him into the air and then pull the helmet off of him, assuming her telekinesis was strong enough to do it. But she could pull the helmet off of Colossus and then in turn like hit him with telepathic attacks. At the very least, the optic beams of Cyclops, depending on how strong they are, could like offer a distraction. They wouldn't really be able to slow him down, but they could offer a distraction. And then in turn, you kind of have the Incredible Hulk just pummel him, but then again, you could bring in Thor. But the funny thing about this is that in the old school days of Marvel Comics, it's long since changed, but in the old school days of Marvel Comics, Juggernaut had kind of a force field around him. And so there was one story where Thor threw his hammer at Juggernaut trying to hit him, and the hammer just bounced off because of the force field. So like Juggernaut was immune to like the hammer of Thor. If they bring that over, well then Thor won't really be of any use. I mean, he could punch really hard and hit hard, but in terms of like actually being able to impact anything with his hammer, there wouldn't really be a whole lot he could do. But again, like you could take Unstoppable Colossus out that way. Again, like using telepathy to kind of infiltrate his brain and basically like shut him down, or any number of things. And that's happened before. But even then, like you just grab Magneto. Magneto would be one of the best ways to do it. Use Magneto to pull the helmet off of him, and then literally go into his brain, have Jean Grey enter his head and do whatever she wants to do, and something happens, and then in turn, like have Magneto shut down the actual Colossus element, like the metal, like disrupt that thing. That's what happened during the events of Mutant Massacre, right? Like Colossus was injured. There was something that happened. God, it's been so long. Colossus was injured. Magneto tried to basically do something to heal him, to like move his metal out of the way, and ended up like disrupting it. And so basically like Colossus couldn't really transform for a little while. Those guys right there could defeat Unstoppable Colossus, but you would need someone like the Incredible Hulk to intervene. The issue with this is that while the Incredible Hulk is strong, the Incredible Hulk isn't really powerful enough to like stop Juggernaut or stop Unstoppable Colossus by himself, right? Like just using sheer strength, he wouldn't be able to pull it off, because again, like once Juggernaut starts moving, it can't be stopped. So you would need like either augmentation, or you would need them all kind of fighting at the same time. But again, I think Jean Grey is the key, using her telekinesis. Jean Grey and Magneto, I think, would be the 1-2 punch to be able to take out Unstoppable Colossus. But in terms of the current form of the MCU, Colossus would just crush everybody. Nobody would stand a chance, because one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that even if you kind of look to the Incredible Hulk and Thor's strength is not infinite, right? Like he has a finite, like a point, like the strength he has now is as strong as he gets, unless he goes berserker. And even going berserker, he wouldn't be able to defeat like Unstoppable Colossus. So then you would have to look at the Incredible Hulk. But the issue is that the Incredible Hulk's strength starts out at a baseline level and then works its way up. And so with Unstoppable Colossus, by the nature of the Juggernaut being what he is, having a higher level of strength than the Incredible Hulk when he first transforms, then like the fight would have to go on long enough for the Incredible Hulk's strength to reach Colossus and then get higher in order to like overpower him. But again, like we haven't really seen that unless he was augmented and had the power of a universe behind him. If you did that with the X-Men, Magneto, Jean Grey, and then threw in like the Incredible Hulk, you could win. Like you could definitely win. But if in its current form, you'd have to rely on someone like Tony Stark to create like some super high-end magnets or something like that to like pull the helmet off of him, which I'd love to see Tony Stark come running up on Unstoppable Colossus with like one of those giant horseshoe magnets and like try to pull it off of him. He'd look like a Looney Tune character if he did. It'd be hilarious, but I would love to see that. I think it'd be hilarious to see. But again, like in its current form, Unstoppable Colossus would decimate the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it stands right now. It wouldn't even be a fight. Like it wouldn't even be fair. It would be it would be a murdering is what it would be. But throw in the X-Men and suddenly everything changes, because the powers of the team are designed to overcome various characters depending on what abilities they have. But working in tandem and kind of putting them in awkward pairs, you can overcome a lot of different foes that you normally wouldn't be able to see the X-Men take out. So anyway, with that being said, guys, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.